Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Makers Monday. I am Anastasia Radloff, aka Stampin' Blondie, and I'm excited to be here with you for another week of live step-by-step crafting. Now it is Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. here in Korea. With the time change, you may have forgotten about what time Makers Monday will be, but we are live here today and I am excited to get started on some fun projects featuring a brand new stamp set from the online exclusives. Now let me just make sure that I'm live here on Facebook. I'm also live over on YouTube as well. So if you're watching, make sure to comment, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where everybody is watching from each week. Now it looks like I'm good to go over here on Facebook. So I am gonna close my laptop just to make sure that there are no issues with the live stream. A couple weeks ago, we had some issues with it buffering, and I think I figured out the issue. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll continue to not have any issues. But as a reminder, if I do start to buffer or have any issues, please let me know in the comments, because with my laptop closed, I don't have it running, so I can't see if I'm buffering. So your comments I can see down here on this program that I use. So let me know if there's any issues once if they pop up. Also, as a reminder, I live on an active military base. I never know when they're going to launch air jets. My apartment that I live in faces practically the flight line, so it may get a little loud. I think they may be doing night flying. They were flying last night a little bit, so I'm not sure exactly when they're flying, but hopefully no loud jet noises during our Makers Monday here today. Hello, Janice from Georgia. Hi, Mom from Iowa. Maggie from Arizona. Thank you all for joining me here today. All right, today I'm creating 3 projects featuring the Tractor & Co. bundle. This is from the online exclusive, so it won't be found in your annual catalog. It won't be found on your mini catalog. So, of course, Beans decides to start barking. He recently has started barking at they have these little stink bugs here, and he loves to lay next to our balcony door and get sun and everything, and sometimes the stink bugs walk across the balcony and he starts barking at those. So yeah, who knows what he's barking at right now. Do the jets keep me up at night? Not really. I have a sound machine, like a white noise machine that I turn on, and usually that pretty much just drowns out all the noises. It depends on if I'm really tired. If I'm really tired, the jets won't wake me up. I just kind of doze off, and I'm a heavy sleeper, so I don't really hear them as often. But definitely, like if I'm trying to craft or watch TV or listen to an audio book when they take off, it's pretty loud. So I normally hear those, but when I'm sleeping, I don't. I'm sure after a while you'll start to like get used to them, and you won't even notice them anymore. But right now I still notice them because it's quite loud. All right. Tractor & Co., like I mentioned, online exclusive items. But before we jump into those, I want to show some online exclusive items that just debuted this week. I received my Stampin' Up! Order here yesterday, and actually it takes about a week to get here. It's not that long. It's almost faster than when I lived on the East Coast to get my stuff here than it did there. So I want to show you some brand new items that just released. So let's go ahead and swap the camera and I will show those to you. So the first thing is the Garden Green and White Chevron ribbon. Let's get that in the camera view. There we go. Of course, I got this for holiday crafting that I've been doing, but it's really thin. I think, yep, 1/8 of an inch. So this is great. I'm gonna try to color it with a red Stampin' Blend marker to see if maybe I can get like a green and red look to it. But this is the chevron ribbon that just debuted. These are the Pearls of Beauty, and let's see, do they have the colors on here? No colors. But it looks like a basic beige, kind of a coral and white. Pearls, so these are kind of flat, they're not as rounded. But I'm excited to craft with these. Again, Stampin' Blends to turn that red. So I have some red pearls. These are the Earthy Matte Dots. They come in 4 colors, and then 2 different sizes. And this coordinates with this designer series paper here that I'm going to show you guys. The new beautiful pattern embossing folder. I really like embossing folders that are multi-use. I know there's some like Christmas embossing folders, and in the past we've had like spider webs for Halloween. I prefer my embossing folders that I can use with multiple occasions cards, so that's the type that I try to go for. But this beautiful pattern embossing folder is new. Now, if you haven't placed an order with Stampin' Up! Recently, you will notice a change in their packaging for stamps. Now, currently, our stamp sets come in these like DVD sized case packages. Now, Stampin' Up! Going forward, starting with this online exclusives release, is moving towards these thin style packets for their stamp sets. Now, our dies already come in these kind of folders as well, but moving forward, our stamp sets and dies will be all in the same size package. Now, this is great because some people like to store their dies and their stamp sets together. Stampin' Up! Is also discontinuing the red rubber stamps, so we will only be having photopolymer stamps, the completely see-through and clear stamps. So if you are looking to maximize your storage space, these are great because look how thin they are compared to this here. Now they are taller, so you can see you may have to do some rearranging. Now I have my stamp sets on like a bookshelf like this, and then I'm going to be switching my storage with these new packets to more of like a basket, and I can kind of flip through them. Now I store my dies in a separate area for my stamps, so I won't be combining mine, but you can see that the dies and the stamp sets are now the same names. So we have Creative Haven Stamp Set and Creative Haven Dies. So you'll be able to know which dies go with which stamp sets. Now I haven't even opened this yet. I literally just got this yesterday afternoon. So these are the dies. So they still come on the like the clear film. So you could take this out and, you know, kind of maximize your storage even more. But these little pockets here, like I said, you can store your dies and your stamp set together in one envelope. But these are the new packaging that Stampin' Up! Is moving to. Now, I'm excited for this because I've received a lot of the DVD cases in the mail before that have been crushed or broken due to shipping. You know, those boxes, they are just thrown. The UPS and post office, they don't really care what's in the boxes. So these are going to minimize breakage of the DVD boxes. Now, Stampin' Up! Will still be selling those style of packages, like these clear cases. So if you do want to continue to store your stamp sets in these kind of clear cases, they still will have that option. But these are the new packages going forward. You can see they're about, I think, like 9 inches tall, a little tall for maybe some of your storage, but excited for the new design here. Now, this is the Banners Saying stamp set, and I actually got, I have it right here. This is the punch that coordinates with it, the Banner Sayings punch. So this is all sentiments. Sometimes I've been looking in my sentiment list, and I was wondering, like, I can't think of some sentiments that I may not have. So I liked this one because it says like, consider yourself hugged, and I can't thank you enough, and cue the confetti. So cue the confetti can be for birthdays or celebrations. I really like that it can be used for multiple occasions. That's what I like about the stamp set. Plus it has a fun banner punch that you can create some fun little sentiments with. Now, if you know me personally, I love to read. I love audiobooks, physical books. I have a Kindle. I like to read all the time. When I'm crafting, I listen to an audiobook. When I cross stitch, I listen to an audiobook. When I'm out exploring on the bus here in Korea, audiobooks. So when Stampin' Up! Released this book paper, of course I had to get this. So this actually coordinates with that Creative Haven stamp set. And so this is really fun because Friends Like You are golden, and you could do like a whole golden card. But there's some fun different patterns in here that have to do with hobbies. And this is called the Hobby Haven paper. And it is a specialty paper. So there are these little punch out pieces here, and there's everything from photography to sewing, baking. So a lot of different hobbies are included in here, and I know a lot of people love to do hobbies. So plants and skincare. We've got, again, sewing. Oh, this one's upside down, but sewing and baking. Really fun designer series paper for different hobbies like plants. I love plants. I am not a good plant mom. I try. I have some plants in my living room right now, but look at that sewing paper. That's really fun to cross stitch. I love to cross stitch. So this Hobby Haven paper is really fun. And so I, of course, had to get this, right away. That was on my list. Okay. So I showed you some new stuff that was released. I think it came out, it was pre-order for demonstrators in October. I don't know if it's released to customers yesterday or today for you guys, November 1st, maybe on Saturday, or if it comes out November 4th. Sometimes Stampin' Up! Releases stuff on Tuesdays. Sometimes it's the 1st of the month. So just keep an eye out for it. It'll be released soon. All right, so today we're creating projects from Online Exclusives, which all those items are, from the Tractor & Co. stamp set. Now this is a die bundle, so we will be using the dies to go along with this. And on my website, Instagram, Facebook yesterday, I posted this really fun, hey, hey, it's your birthday card with some hay and tractors. This features the Spotlight on Nature dies and the Gathering Leaves embossing folder, and I know exactly the person that I'm going to send this to. My father-in-law, they live on a farm. He cuts hay for friends in his spare time, and so this is exactly the card. His birthday is at the end of this month, so I'm going to send him this hey hey birthday card, and he's not on social media, so he won't even know it's coming until he gets it in the mail. So today we're going to create 3 projects. Now this Tractor & Co. stamp set, photopolymer, 17 stamps. We are using all of the stamps in here but 2. We are going to use all of the stamps on here. And I'm excited about this stamp set because, as you can see, it is multi-seasonal. So you have pumpkins, trees, and then you have some year-round stuff like corn and chickens and hay piles and tractors. So this is really fun. It has a great punny sentiments to go along with it, like thanks for pulling me through, and of course the hay sentiment. So we are going to deep dive into this stamp set and use practically everything but 2 stamps. So our projects today are going to feature a Christmas card, a fall themed card, and just kind of a everyday card. So here is our fall themed project. I saw this kind of layout from Erica Serwin, but I wanted to step it up and create it my own as well. So we've got some pumpkins and some corn in the background and a thinking of you card. We've got our holiday card that we're going to create. So lots of die cutting we're going to be doing here today. And I'm going to show you how to make this really fun outlined. background here, super simple. And then this one, thanks for pulling me through. We've got some corn and just a really fun stamp set. And as somebody from Iowa, corn is a big deal there, so I had to create some projects using corn. Okay, now don't forget, on my website each week I have this fun PDF here with all of the item names, numbers, and prices of the supplies that I'm using. Don't forget there's a front and a back, stampinblondie.com. You can print this out if you are wanting to create this week's projects. And if you place an order on my website, the link is on your screen here, by Friday at end of day, midnight, so technically Saturday morning. If you place an order, I will send you the supplies for all 4 of the projects that I'm featuring here today. All right, so let's get started. Let's move this over here. Our first card we're gonna work on is gonna be, let me grab it here. We're gonna work on this project first here. So we have just 2 pieces of cardstock, both basic white, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Our basic card design here we're going to start with, and we're just going to use our bone folder to crisp up our edge, and we're going to set that off to the side as we work on our piece here. Now this is 3 3/4 by 5 1/8, I think. Let me just make sure, get my little, 3 3/4 by 5, so it's 1/8 of an inch off. 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm going to bring in my scrap piece of paper here, and we're going to do some blending, ink blending. Now let me grab all of my ink pads here. Now I'm going to be using a color called Cloud Cover. This is one of the Stampin' Up! In colors that were released this year, and you may notice that I have the ink pad of Cloud Cover. There was an issue with the release of this color in ink pad form. So it's not released to customers, but as demonstrators, we are able to purchase it, not knowing if it has a problem with it or not. There was some problem with the color shifting after it dried to be more of like a gray tone as opposed to this blue. So they didn't want to release it to customers. But as a customer, you can use the ink refill, which they do sell, and a blank ink pad to create the same technique that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to move this off to the side for a minute, and we're going to roll up our sleeves here. So I'm just going to take my Cloud Cover ink pad. Again, you may have the mini, you may have just the refill, but you can still do the same technique with the refill. So I'm just going to take my small blending brush, and we're just going to blend around the edges just to kind of give that white paper a little something extra so it's not so stark white. And I'm just doing a quick blend around the edge. Now when you use the blending brushes, this is the mini one. You want to swirl it in your ink pad, kind of tap it off on the side to get the excess ink off, and then just swirl along your paper. I have a piece of grid paper folded in half, and that's just my workspace cover here. But if you have the Stampin' Up! Glass mat, you can do the same thing and then just wipe the ink right off. Okay, just kind of a quick little coverage of color around the outside just to give it a little something extra so it's not so stark white. Now while we also have this down, we are going to, I'm getting all my ink pads out that we're going to be using today. You can see we've got a layer of little corn stalks here, but in the background we have some corn in the back, so it's kind of looking like it's got a little dimension to it. So we're going to stamp a layer of the corn stalks and the corn on top, the corn ears. So we're going to need our garden green ink pad. And like I said, we are using every single stamp on here minus 2. And I think, what stamps aren't we using? It's the seat and the banner. So we're doing just about everything else. Now I want to stamp my background here, and we're just going to use garden green ink and 2 of the corn stalk stamps. They are going to overlap a little bit there. There's that. And then while we have this open, we're gonna take a spare piece of white paper and we're gonna stamp our stalks twice again on here because we're gonna die cut these ones. And there we go. Now we can close up our garden green for now. Put that off to the side. We're gonna take our Daffodil Delight and we're gonna bring back in our cloud cover piece and we're gonna stamp our corn ears. Now these are spaced out that you can stamp it right at the top of the stalks, and they are, because we overlapped some of those other ones, they are gonna overlap a little bit. That's okay. And now we have our background of our image here. All right, we're gonna stamp one more time on this to try to maximize our space here, and we're gonna get out there's like this wagon piece, I guess, in the back of the tractor, and we're gonna need the pumpkins and the small wheels. We're gonna have to get multiple pieces of paper here. So we have the Real Red ink pad, and we're gonna stamp that at the top here. Because like I said, we're trying to maximize our cardstock usage. Another spare piece, and we're gonna stamp our pumpkins in orange, and then 2 of the wheels are gonna be in basic gray. And I'm using the smaller wheels for this. So we've got one wheel here, another wheel there, close that up, and then our pumpkin pie for our pumpkins that our wagon is carrying. There we go. So we are going to now do some die cutting. Now the best part about this is that all of these dies fit into the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is great because I did not want to haul out the ginormous one today. So we've got our mini machine, and I'm using a magnetic mat for mine to hold my dies in place as I run them through the machine. So the first one we're gonna work on is our tractor, the wagon. So we've got our wagon here. And the best part about this magnet is that you don't have to use washi tape, I found on this, unless you move it around too much when you die cut it. Right, so we've got our wagon here and our first corn stalks. Lots of die cutting today. Normally I try not to do die cutting during Makers Monday just because it takes a little while, but I really wanted to showcase this stamp set, and you kind of have to do die cutting with it. Now I have found using a magnetic bowl, I got this at Harbor Freight. It's really supposed to hold like screws and bolts and stuff when you're working on cars, but it works really well for holding dies so that you don't lose them. So I'm just gonna put that off to the side, and we're going to set up our corn stalks here again. And next we're gonna bring in, where'd that piece go? Here we go. We're gonna die cut our pumpkins and the wheels. So one wheel and the pumpkins. I'm trying to cut as many things as I can with one pass, so we're not die cutting all day long. And my pumpkins. And there. And we're gonna run this through again. There we go. Lots of crunching noises. That's okay. It's cutting the paper. And we've got our final corn stalks here. This is a great, all of our projects today are great uses of scrap paper. So we have all of our scrap basic white that we're cutting into, and it's a great way to minimize and use all of those little scrap pieces of paper that we all have around. I'm gonna lay this down and do this one again and run this one through. Now our cards today are more cards for, I wouldn't say advanced stampers, but with the amount of die cutting we are doing, I would say it's geared more towards the crafter that is used to doing die cutting. It can take a bit to do all these. Okay, we've got our card base here, and we're gonna glue this all together now. So first we're gonna add dimensionals to the back of our corn stalks. So these are gonna be in the foreground of our ones that we've already stamped. So we're gonna add dimensionals here. And this is gonna go there. And I mean, you don't just plant one row of corn, you have multiple rows of corn. So this is our kind of way of giving our card dimension to make it look like there's rows and rows of corn. Okay. Oh, they're launching jets, I think. I hear like one starting up. Yep, it's gonna get loud. There we go. They're launching jets. That one's not too bad. It doesn't sound like it's flying over the apartment. Once they go off the flight line, if they turn and go over the apartment, it gets really, really loud. But it looks like they went the opposite direction this time. But there will be multiples, so just know. Okay, we have our tractor back here. There goes plane 2. And we're gonna glue our pumpkins. We're gonna add a little bit of glue. There, it rattles my windows. That's how loud it is. And I am not right on the flight line, but my house faces it, and it's far enough away, but it rattles the windows. That's how loud it is. So we just added a little bit of glue to the front of the pumpkins, and we have that on our tractor, and we're gonna add some dimensionals to the back of this, and that's gonna glue it to our card. Actually, I wanna move that down here. Oh, is there only 2 jets this time? Sometimes there's like 5. It gets really loud. But there we go. And that's gonna go down here. We're gonna add our wheels with dimensionals, and what I like to do is I like to take one dimensional and kind of tuck it up onto the wheel. And we're just gonna slide that on there. Oh, you want your wheels to be even though. Here we go. And now we're gonna create like a little ground. So right now it looks like the wagon is just kind of floating in the air. So you want to ground your wagon, and for that I'm using the light pecan pie Stampin' Blend. I'm going to bring my grid paper back in, and I'm just going to take the brush end and kind of color in a little bit of a ground here. So then it doesn't look like your wagon is just kind of free floating in the air. And on this, we're gonna stamp our chicken. And the little chicken's gonna be in Daffodil Delight. And our sentiment that says, thinking of you, that's gonna be in Basic Gray. So our chicken's just gonna go on the ground that we colored. And that's another reason why we colored in a ground, so that our chicken can be right there. And then our Basic Gray sentiment with thinking of you. It's just gonna go right there at the bottom. We're gonna add dimensionals to the back of this, and we're gonna glue that on to our card base. Lots of die cutting and popping up just to give it a little something extra. And we're gonna come in with 2 of, these are the natural neutral matte dots. They come in pecan pie, basic beige, basic black, and basic white. And we're gonna come in with a large one and a small one for the upper right corner. And this kind of matches that ground. That's why I chose pecan pie for the ground. And it ties it all in. And there is our first project with the Tractor & Co. bundle. So lots of die cutting for this one, but very fun. I like this one, thinking of you. We've got our pumpkins and the chickens, and just a fun way to really recreate this kind of farm scene for our first project here today. So I hope you guys like that one. Let's move on to our second one. So we're moving from fall now to the holidays. So we've got our Christmas card here. This one is lots of layers. So we're gonna be doing some layering with this one. Let's get some of these project pieces that I don't need out of the way. We don't need that one, that one. We don't need the chicken anymore. Okay, get that out of the way there. Okay, for this one, we're gonna be using Granny Apple Green for our card base. I love Granny Apple Green for Christmas. Sometimes Garden Green gets a little dark, but Granny Apple Green is a really fun, bright Christmas color here. And so card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. We have a piece of basic white cardstock that we're gonna glue down here first. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. And that's just gonna go right here in the middle first. Now, as you can see along the edges, I created my very own kind of border here. And this is a really easy and fun way to kind of step up your project when you don't really need a lot of skills to be able to do this. So what I'm using, it is a white gel pen. Now this is the Uniball gel pen, but really any kind of white gel pen will work for this. I don't use gel pens very often, like black gel pens. I hate writing in gel pens. But the white one is really fun to color on colored cardstock and make that white really pop. So what I'm doing is in the corner of each one, I'm drawing a larger white circle, and then next to it, 2 smaller circles. So you just kind of do a little Mickey Mouse shape there in the corner. So larger in the middle and then smaller on each side. Now, gel pens, it's kind of like a liquid pen. So you don't want to go over it and over it and over it too much, because then it'll wipe away the gel. So we just have 4 little Mickey Mouse in the corner. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ruler. I'm gonna wait for this to dry a little bit. Gel pens do take a little bit time to dry. They, it's not like a ballpoint pen where it's kind of instant dry. So what I'm gonna do is it should be pretty much dried by now. Yep. And we're going to take our ruler and we're going to connect from the small dot to the small dot on each side. So I may go off screen a little bit, just I want to make sure I'm lining everything up, but I'll draw it and then I will show you what it looks like when I'm done here. Now, if your lines aren't straight, that's okay. That's how you know it's homemade. It's okay if it's crooked, but you're just going to take your ruler and connect the small dots all the way around. So we've got our small dots here. Now with the gel pen, you may have to kind of go back and forth a little bit with it. Like I said, I may go off camera just because I need to see what I'm doing here. And the gel pen does get a little gunky. So you kind of have to go, come on. Let me find a spare piece of paper I can write on to get that gunky off. There's a little piece of washi. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we're just gonna do that all 4 sides all the way around. Now I got this gel pen at my local like office supply store. You could probably find it at like a craft supply store too. But it's just a Uniball pigment ink 1.0. So that should be fairly easy to find in the States. Kind of hard to find some crafting supplies here, but I'm just taking my ruler and filling in those lines. There we go. So you have a great way to be able to create your own border with gel pens. I don't know if you could do this with like whiteout pens. I would just think that whiteout pens may be a little thick. So this is what I used. It's just the Uniball Signo Broad pigment white ink pen. Again, I found this at my local office supply store. I got this in the States, so it's probably fairly easy to find. This we're gonna glue down to our card base, and you just want to be careful with that white pigment. Like I said, it does take a little bit to dry. So I am gonna glue this down and kind of put our project off to the side just to make sure everything is nice and dry when we move on to the layering portion of the card. All right, we're gonna create now our scene here. So I'm gonna move this off camera just so it can dry over there. So we will be putting on a piece of vellum. I am gonna move that off to the side as well. We're gonna work on the tractor now. So we've got pieces of white scrap paper, and we're gonna bring in our last paper here too. First, we're gonna stamp the wheels. We have a big wheel and then 3 of the smaller ones that we're going to stamp on here. Now there is dies for the wheels. You don't have to stamp them to cut them out, but when I tried to cut it out with just the dies and not prior stamping, it looked strange to me. So I just used the stamped wheels the whole time. So we've got our bigger wheel there, and then our 3 smaller ones for the wagon. Move that off to the side. We have a small piece of basic white cardstock. This is going to be our sentiment, and it says Season's Greetings. Of course, we're doing a kind of Christmassy theme here with the trees and trucks. And then we can close up our basic gray. And we're done with that stamp too. Move that off to the side. Next, we're gonna stamp our tractor. So the tractor comes in this stamp here. It's kind of hard to see. It doesn't have the wheels, so you can make the tractor whatever color you want. We're also gonna stamp the Christmas trees and the back of the tractor, which we used on our last project too. All right, I'm gonna stamp all of that hopefully on one piece of paper here and get it to die cut all at the same time. So we've got our red tractor. Now I chose a red tractor because my father-in-law has a red tractor. And I really wanted that first project that I made for him to be a red tractor, but it looked weird with the brown and yellow. So we had to go with a green tractor for that one. And let's see, oh, the Christmas trees. So the Christmas trees are gonna be in Granny Apple Green to match our card base. And so we've got our Christmas trees here. Very seasonal project. Now I re-inked this ink pad yesterday. I think it may be time for me to get a new one. It's been acting kind of strange. So we will see. Oh, more launching of jets. Hopefully not as loud this time. Can you guys hear that? I mean, does it come through the video? Can you guys hear the jets? Because if not, I won't mention it anymore. But yeah, it's pretty loud on my end. All right, we are gonna die cut all of this, and then we're also gonna die cut the wheel covers. So we have just a piece of red cardstock here, and then also green cardstock for the Christmas trees there. So let me tear this. There we go. And then we got all this die cutting to do here. So let's bring in our little machine and our plates. So the first thing we're gonna cut is our wheels on one end, and then, oh, let me trim this up here for there. So I take it you guys can't hear the jets because I'm not seeing any comments about it. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you guys can't hear the jets on your end. Like I said, it's pretty loud. Okay, somebody said yes, but it's not bad. That's good. This one's not, this round that they're doing isn't as bad as they have done in the past. All right, I'm probably off camera, but I'm just lining up all of my dies so I can do as many die cuts at the same time. We've got our big wheel here, our small wheel, our Christmas tree, and we're gonna run that through. Yeah, when they turn and come over our house, it's super loud. Yesterday, I have to tell a story. Yesterday, Beans was outside on our balcony. He likes to go out there and like bark at everything and just like survey his kingdom is what I like to call it. And they launched some jets while he was out there, and he got so scared that he ran back into the house and refused to go back outside. He's like, nope, it's too loud for me. But he's scared of like every single little noise. So he's just a big baby when it comes to things. Okay, so we're doing more die cutting here. We've got our tractor front that we've got set up. We're gonna do our tractor back, and then one of the another one of the wheels. So let's run that through. Here we go. So we got a wheel, tractor front, tractor back. There's the front, there's the wagon. And let's see, done with that. Done with these, get all my dies situated, because there's a lot of little dies and little pieces. All right, we're gonna die cut the trees. Let's get this here. Because I'm using the mini machine, we have to kind of cut down on the paper size. So a tree and our last wheel. Sometimes I wish they gave us like 2 wheels to be able to die cut at the same time, so then you can really, that one moved. Okay, maybe it's okay. So that you can die cut like wheels at the same time. There we go. All right, all of our wheels are cut. So we can move that there. And now we're working on these pieces here. And so like the wheel covers. So for the red, I'm gonna use real red, and we've got our Christmas tree. Now with the Christmas tree, you can see it kind of gets stuck in the die. So I like to take my Take Your Pick tool on the poking side, and then just kind of poke out the little Christmas trees for that. All right, so there's one. We've got 2 more to die cut, and then our wheel caps. So for the wheel caps, we've got 1 large one and then the smaller ones to die cut there. I try to usually like pre-die cut some of these things, but I wanted you guys to see how long it can take, or how you want to create these things. So we've got our second Christmas tree. Ouch, I just poked myself with the tool. Don't do that. Come on. There we go. And then our last Christmas tree and our hubcaps. All these dies everywhere. Okay. So it's good with the small one because you can die cut a little bit faster this way. Okay, our last tree, and we have one more hubcap. And then it is gluing everything together. There we go. Okay. Hubcap, come on. And gluing. So, putting it all together. We have all these little pieces. So for our tractor, we're gonna take the large wheel first and add a little bit of glue to the top. And that we're going to glue here. And it's okay if you get glue around the outside because you're gonna take the large hubcap piece, the fender, or whatever this is called, and this is just gonna go right over top of it. So even if you add too much glue to the wheel, it's okay because you have that covering it there. So we're gonna do the same thing with the little wheel on the front. Lots of glue here. So if you have a heavy hand with glue, just a little bit goes a long way here. That will go there. We're gonna let that get glued together and we're gonna work on the wagon. Same thing with the wheels here. Glue for the wheel, glue here for the wheel. Now this project could be good as a Christmas card, but if you decide to make this as your Christmas card this year, assembly line production would be the best way to do this. So cut all your wheels and then cut all of your little fender pieces. Like doing it the way I am right now, one at a time, takes a lot longer, but you can make it go a little faster if you do all the pieces at once. My husband says, hello from across the bay, sorry for the noise. Yeah, how long is this gonna be going on? I'm trying to do a video here. I should have asked him before he left this morning, like, when are they gonna be launching jets today? So that I know. All right, we added a little bit of glue to the bottom of our Christmas trees, and we're just gonna glue that here to the back of the wagon. It's the sound of freedom. Well, the sound of freedom is interrupting the sound of my crafting. We're gonna glue our Christmas trees together. So we're just gonna kind of offset them from each other. So we have the 3 trees here. And there we go. And it's okay, again, this glue dries clear. So if you don't have, if you do have a heavy hand with glue, it's okay. Like I have a little bit of extra glue there. It'll dry clear. So we have our front tractor, the wagon, and the trees, and we're gonna glue it all together. So we've added our white gel pen to create the border, and we have our piece of vellum cardstock. Now with vellum, if you've never used vellum before, it is a semi-opaque cardstock, you can see right here, and what you want to do is add a very, very thin layer of glue to this, or you will see it through. So you can barely see my glue on there, and I'm just gonna glue that on here. It's okay if it shows through a little bit, that's fine. We're gonna cover up most of this. We're gonna add on our tractor back, the wagon, with dimensionals. So dimensionals for this one. I probably went heavy-handed on the glue here for my vellum. That's okay. It dries clear, it'll be okay. I'm not worried about it. So there. We have our front tractor, again, same thing with dimensionals. And this is gonna go on right there. Now with our trees, we're gonna add liquid glue to the back here, and this is just gonna tuck behind our tractor here. So it's kind of like in the background, like our corn from the last project. We've got our sentiment season's greetings that we stamped earlier, and we're gonna flag the end on that. So I found the best way is to cut up the middle and then corner to corner here. And I'm gonna trim this back edge piece here a little bit. This is just gonna go on with regular liquid glue, and it's gonna go right there. And to finish this project off, we have the peppermints. These are really fun little peppermints. And we're gonna use a a medium and a small peppermint in the upper corner. And that is our project featuring the Tractor & Co. bundle. This is our holiday project. So we had our, the first one was our fall themed. This is our holiday themed. And now we're gonna move on to like an everyday kind of project. So I love these little peppermints. They came out last year. I made some little gingerbread men projects, and I used these peppermints as the buttons on the gingerbread men for an upcoming vendor show that I'm doing, and they turned out so cute. Once I get everything finished, of course, I'll share pictures of all those projects online too, so you guys can see them. All right, our last project here is the Thanks for Pulling Me Through. I love punny cards, and this one is really fun and more of a simpler project to put together. So we've got a piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock, and we're going more for the John Deere theme on this one. So Daffodil Delight is our card base, and we have Old Olive cardstock, and this is from, let me make sure I'm telling you guys the right designer series paper. This is from the Celebratory Sips designer series paper. So it is actually from a pattern of paper that is geared more towards, there's like cocktails on the paper, like different types of cocktails. So know that your designer series paper doesn't just have to go with the projects you're creating. So obviously I'm not making any cocktail themed projects, but this green worked really well for what I needed it for. So this is what we're gonna use it for. And then the other side here has flowers. Again, I am not more of a floral type of person, but this would work really well for a John Deere themed card. That's just gonna go on the bottom. Again, this is more of our casual crafter style card, not beginners, because we've got some die cutting, but more of our casual crafters. Now I need to clean off some of our stamps here because we're doing different colors. And I found these like microfiber towels, and they work really well for cleaning off ink from projects. So I've been using those a lot instead of my Stampin' Scrub. I love my Stampin' Scrub, but it gets red ink on a lot of things. So I just spray it with Stampin' Mist and then a microfiber towel, and it gets the ink right off. Okay, we've got our, we need for this, do I not have my Old Olive? I need the Old Olive ink pad. Where is it? Right here. Old Olive ink pad for our corn stalks, and we are going to stamp 2 of those in the background across our piece of basic white. There we go. And then on a spare piece of white, let's grab that from here, we're gonna stamp 2 of the like wagons again. 1 and 2. And we're gonna bring back in the basic gray and 4 wheels, small wheels again. So again, some die cutting on this one, but to achieve the look, you have to die cut all the pieces. There we go. And our Daffodil Delight to tie in the same color of our background paper for our corn. So right here. And like I mentioned, these are perfectly spaced to be able to fill in the top of your corn stalks. And there we go. So there we have our perfectly spaced corn. All right, this can go away, this can go away. Let's move all these stamps. Like I said, we used everything except two different stamps we did not use. But everything else in this stamp set, I wanted to showcase like all of it, the whole thing. Okay, let's get our stamping machine out here. And we need the small wheel. Again, like I said, this little thing for holding all your dies is perfect because look, none of them fall out and you don't lose any dies. When you have this many, it's good to keep them all in the same place. Harbor Freight, it's a magnetic screw bowl. You can probably find it at like Home Depot too. But I got it at Harbor Freight. Lowe's probably has them as well. Or even like, what's that called? AutoZone. They probably have it too. It's for cars. It's like just a magnetic screw bowl. I think I got it at Harbor Freight though because it was the cheapest there. But they have different sizes too. So if you want like a bigger bowl to hold dies, that they have different sizes for holding screws and magnetic stuff. So the only thing I would suggest, if you have a pacemaker, please don't get one because it's not good if you have a pacemaker for that. So let's get that there. And we have 2 more wheels to die cut. And then our last one. And then we will have all of our little pieces for this one ready to go. See, even though it's a lot of die cutting, you can see it doesn't take very long to set it all up and die cut. Especially this project where it's not as much like the last one. I knew it had a lot of die cutting. That's one that takes a little bit longer to put together, but this one's really easy and simple. Okay, got all of our pieces here. We can glue our piece of old olive cardstock down first. So that can go right to the middle here. And our piece of stamped, oh wait, I want to do our sentiment first here. So our sentiment is, thanks for pulling, what was it? Thanks for pulling me through. And basic gray to match our wheels. Again, I love the sentiment. The punny sentiments are really fun. There. And now we can glue this down to our card base. Is that the mini die cut machine? You make it look so easy. Mine is really hard to get it through. Okay, so yes, this is the mini die cut machine. Let me finish gluing this down and I will give you some tips on the mini die cut machine. So, okay, with the mini die cut machine, let me grab it really quick. It's just right over here in my drawer. Okay, so this is, the mini die cut machine comes with these different plates. So I have noticed that the directions on these little plates say that if you're die cutting, use plate 1. If you're embossing, use plate 3. Now my machine, now each machine is different, but you may want to try this with yours. I have found that using the embossing plate when die cutting works better for me. So I just use plate 3. Now you may not have this, so it may just be your plate, clear plate and another plate, and then run it through. But I use this magnetic mat. So try plate 3 with your 2 plates on top. That helps get it through a little bit. The embossing one is just a smidgen, what's it called? Shallower, thinner. So it helps pull it through a little bit better. So Emily, try that. It may help a little bit with getting the dies through. And once you use it more and more, the machine does tend to loosen up a little bit. So definitely try that. See if that helps. If not, send me a message and maybe we can try to figure something out with your machine. But yeah, definitely try that with plate 3. I only use plate 3 embossing and die cutting now. I don't even use plate 1 at all anymore. Okay, so we've got dimensionals on the back of our little wagons here. I must have cut this paper a little bit different. So we have outline here and it's a little bit different here. That's okay. We're gonna add our wheels with dimensionals as well. Yes, and thanks for pulling me through. It's a tractor. That's why we've got that one. And more dimensionals on these wheels. And there. And you could just leave your project like this. If you are more of a, let's say, beginner crafter, you could just leave your project like this, but I wanted to step mine up and add some embellishments. So those neutral dots that we used on our first project, if I can find where they went. Where'd they go? They're probably like right in front of my face. Yep, they are right under the peppermints. So these neutral matte dots, we're gonna use the black small ones for the middle of the wheels, kind of like your hubcaps. So 4 little black dots in the middle here. Just kind of steps it up a little bit more. And then we're gonna come in with linen thread. I didn't want to use a really thick ribbon on this, just a little bit of linen thread kind of ties in the whole, you know, nature theme too. It's more natural looking thread than say like a crazy colored ribbon or something like that. And plus this thread is good for masculine and feminine, whoever you want to give it to. So we've got our thread. This is 2 pieces that I tied, and we're just going to pull all 4 tails together and cut those. And this linen thread goes on really well with a mini glue dot. So let's get our glue dot here. I like to roll it into a little ball and add that right to the corner of our project. So there is our last card today featuring the Tractor & Co. bundle. Really fun. It's from the online exclusives, so you won't find it in any of our catalogs. These are only found online. The bundle currently is, if you buy the stamp set and the dies together in a bundle, you save 10%. So let's grab all of our projects that we worked on here today, and you can let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. We have the Thinking of You pumpkins. Let me make sure I can get all these on screen first. We've got our Thinking of You pumpkins, our Season's Greeting Christmas trees, and then the Thanks for Pulling Me Through with the corn. There we go. There's all of them. So let me know. I think the Season's Greetings, these 2 are probably my favorite. It's kind of a tie, but Let me know which one in the comments is your favorite, and these are some great projects for everyone to receive, so I would love to get any of these projects. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, have a great week.